Hopefully आपको ये video बहुत अच्छा
You gotta do it correctly, you can't laugh.
Hey guys, Curry and Dumpling में आपका स्वागत है. मेरा नाम Rebecca है.
And I'm Arnav.
So today we wanted to talk about a topic that a few people have asked us about, so we thought we might as well just explain it, and this will probably be quite a long video.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll put out the questions that we're going to answer into the description box below, and then you can just skip to the parts you want to know about.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So the topic for today, you'll know it because you clicked on this title, but it is why we moved to the UK, how we moved, and just other aspects about
finding jobs in the UK and just
moving here. I moved back to the UK mainly because of job situation. I did a PhD in chemistry, and in Hong Kong there's just not really any jobs going for things like that. I mean, unless I wanted to stay in academia, which I didn't. I really hated academia when I was doing my PhD, and I decided I did not want to stay in it. And then there weren't that many kind of pharmaceutical companies, and I wanted to work in pharmaceuticals, and so I came back to the UK. And the reason I chose the UK was because I've grown up here, so I kind of know what the system is like. I know kind of what life is like in the UK, so it just made sense for me just to come home and find a job here. And I know about a lot of different companies here, so it was easy. And I just found my job on LinkedIn. I applied. I had quite a few phone calls and job applications whilst I was in Hong Kong, and I got a couple of kind of like to the point where I was at the final interview, and they said come to the UK first and then we'll see you and just make sure that, you know, we're definitely the right fit for each other, which I think makes sense. I think it's definitely better to see the company, see the people, and accept the job after you're definitely sure you want it, rather than going there and then realizing that you don't like the job.
So I think, place or the company.
Yeah, so I think it was a good idea for both of us. And obviously now I've been at the company for coming up to 3 years, so I definitely like my job. To actually move to the UK, it was easy for me because I just bought a plane ticket, and that was it. There was no visas, anything, because I was born here. The only kind of difficulty was in moving here to Edinburgh, just because my family, or my brother and his family lived down near London, and Edinburgh is about a 4-hour train journey or a 1-hour flight. So it was quite a task in just coming to Edinburgh, and I obviously have to find somewhere to live and things like that, and it's not like I can find somewhere and then live there tomorrow. I had to come for about a week with my dad. Thankfully I had my dad with me, otherwise it'd been really difficult just doing everything on my own. But my dad came and we looked for houses. I found one that was pretty much perfect straight on. It was a 1-bedroom flat, and if you look at some of our old vlogs you'll see that flat. And yeah, I just moved in. My dad lived with me for about 3 months, just making sure I get settled, and then he left me on my own to be a grown-up. And during this whole process, Arnav and I was obviously in constant contact. But
I was in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So long distance, yeah.
Yeah, it was long distance, and at some point in that time, you had moved back to India as well.
At the end of, just before our wedding.
Yeah.
In December 2018.
And throughout the whole process, which was about, I think, just over a year of being apart.
Year and a half.
We had been planning for the UK spouse visa.
We got married in December 2018, and then once we got that sorted, right after, like, we didn't even go for any long honeymoon. We had a short, brief couple of days.
It was a lovely honeymoon there in Cheraw, and we also have vlogs.
Just right after that, she was back in the UK, and I started preparing for the visa, which she helped me.
I mean, we were preparing for it even before I left Hong Kong.
We were preparing for the last 3 years.
We made sure we knew exactly what we needed, what documents we needed, and so it was that time apart was so that we can get all the documents that was necessary. If you want us to do like a detailed video on the UK spouse visa process, let us know, and we can definitely do that. I think we did a really good job organising.
Mostly her.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't even know how would I have gotten the visa if it's not for her, because she really kind of organised everything in the right order, make sure we don't miss any documents. So it was a big task and very tedious.
It is. If you read a lot of forums about the UK spouse visa, it seems like they want you to fail. So you have to really read into every single rule, and if you have any documents that are a bit iffy, they might be a bit
even if it's a
questionable.
slight issue, they'll be like, nah.
So you have to make sure you have other documents that back up whatever it is that you're trying to prove.
The government, I think, doesn't want immigrants.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I understand, but I also am an immigrant.
Yeah.
An expat, which kind of plays against me. So we had to really prepare for it and make sure we had everything in place. The funds for the visa, the funds to move here, all the documentation and everything. So it was quite a task.
Yeah.
So,
and in case you're wondering why we had to be apart for this time, it's because for the UK spouse visa, I have to be at my job for a minimum of 6 months.
yeah.
And so obviously for me to come back to the UK, I had to do my job for 6 months at least.
Yeah.
And then
we had to get married in India. So that was already planned for December 2018. So we were like, okay, fine. You can work for more than a year.
Yeah.
You can fulfill the requirement. We can get married. Like, I can apply for the visa. All the different checkpoints are met in the right order.
Yeah.
And it should be,
And it's also difficult because if we're not married, the period of time in which they want you to have been together and living together for is 2 years, which is stupid because I had to have been at my job in the UK for 6 months.
Yeah.
So obviously we have to be apart.
Exactly.
So
it's I could have moved, but I couldn't. So the only real option was to have this long distance relationship
and
until we get married and then apply for the visa. Anyway, long story short, we prepared for the visa for 3 years, saved up money for that. We didn't even go on any holidays because the freaking visa is so expensive.
And then now it's COVID, so...
It's COVID, so we haven't traveled in 3 years plus, which is bonkers. Anyway, applied for the visa, got the visa in Feb 2019, moved to the UK March 2019. On the 5th of March I landed here. And started my life in the UK as an unemployed expat.
Yeah, because he couldn't find a job before moving because everyone wants him to have the visa first, which I couldn't kind of...
I spoke to a few companies.
Yeah.
I've had a few calls from Hong Kong with companies in the UK. They were like, it's better to talk after you have the visa and after you are in the UK, because right now obviously I didn't have the visa back then because I was still in Hong Kong working, and then the logistics didn't make sense for them, I guess. Which
I can understand. It's a waste of their time if you don't get a visa.
Understandably so. So anyway, first month was just experiencing the UK, which was...
It was Beast from... Was it Beast from the East? I can't remember. No, it wasn't.
It was the year after that.
Yeah, it was still quite snowy though, occasionally.
So it was a good experience. A big change coming from Hong Kong, which was my home for the last 9 years, and then moving to the UK, which is completely new. But the good thing was that there's no language barrier here, so I didn't have to adjust about how I go around and meet people.
Yeah.
Anyway, it took me about 5 months of job hunting to find the job, and it was a very stressful period.
I think the companies here in the UK really value experience in the UK.
I don't understand why though.
No, I don't know either.
Like, I have heard the same thing about Canada. No matter how much experience you have, or you need to have experience in
that country,
in that land, in Canadian companies or whatever, for them to hire you, even if you have 10 years of experience. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it took me a few months to find a job. It was very stressful, rejections after rejections, interview after interview.
And I think it was also stressful for me because obviously I was the only person earning.
Yeah.
And I think we did have fights about stuff like that because I was paying for everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much that I was like, oh, you're not doing anything. But it felt sometimes like that when I was going to work and I was coming home and he's sitting on the sofa. And
watching TV.
I'm just like, what are you doing? Why don't you have a job yet?
Yeah.
And then it was stressful for my parents because they kept on telling him to get a job at like the supermarket or something.
Just for the time being, so that I can bring in some income.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can find better jobs. Give me time. I can find better jobs. Anyway, so the thing is, I was speaking to a few companies. I was speaking to a few startups in London. I was speaking to a few banks in Edinburgh, JP Morgan, etc. And things were going on, but they were kind of slow. And recruitment takes time because there were multiple interviews, especially with big companies, right? Anyway, finally found a job at a startup, at an Indian startup that starts with an O and ends with an O. You can guess it. So they were expanding in the UK. I got an opportunity, but they asked me to move to Manchester, out of all places. So I had to pack up my bags and head to Manchester and leave her alone here.
And at this point, we just bought this house.
Yeah.
We just moved. We've just got our cats. And then he
Yeah.
was leaving.
So I was like, either I take up this opportunity
Yeah.
that can snowball into another opportunity, or I keep waiting and not work until I find the right job in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got the opportunity in Manchester. I took it up, went to Manchester. It was another ordeal of finding an apartment,
Yeah.
a room in a new city. And now I don't even have her support. Like, she knows Edinburgh, but I had nobody in Manchester. So it was kind of a big headache to move there, find a place to live, and blah blah blah. Thankfully, this company was supportive. They let me. They had a room sorted for me for a month at a hotel, which was grand.
A very nice hotel.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just took some time, and I slowly settled down into the role in Manchester.
And you really liked Manchester.
Yeah, I loved it. The city was great. It reminded me of London, but smaller, but still very city. Unlike Edinburgh, which can feel like a bit small village or a town. So finally got there, and then the whole deal was that I have to move to Manchester, and I'll be able to move back to Edinburgh after a few months, which happened in November, December. So I was there for about 4 months.
Yeah.
So I came back, Christmas holidays, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna be back in the Edinburgh office, and I was really happy. And in Jan, we got a new car, and I was like, okay,
we thought we were stable.
We
This
were
was
stable,
the time when we were
yeah,
stable.
yeah.
Everything was going really well.
She has a job, I have a job in Edinburgh, got a new car, and we were like, yeah, life's alright. And within the first week of me being in the Edinburgh office, the company said they're gonna lay off people because of whatever reason.
They were doing quite badly, I think.
Yeah, they told us that they're making half the employee count redundant, and my role was affected. And I was like, oh my god, fuck my life, like this is absolutely nuts. I just moved back and now you're telling me that I'm gonna lose my job. So it was quite hard to deal with the whole shock, because I've never been made redundant before.
No.
I didn't know.
I always think of people who get made redundant as like, not really old people, but people who are much more like solidified in their careers.
Yeah. And now I was just like, I don't know how to take this as. And then again, there was a whole bubble of stress for her, for myself. How are we gonna manage our finances or
everything.
expenses? By the end of Feb, I was told that, okay, that's it, end of the job, finish. And they gave us a month of redundancy pay, which is nothing, because companies usually give you 3 months, 6 months, something. But I was lucky enough to be able to find a job by the first week of March.
Just before COVID.
Just before COVID hit, just before the lockdowns hit in like mid-March. I got a job in Edinburgh for a British company that was expanding to Scotland, and I found the right job at the right time.
Yeah, it was pretty much perfect. And I do think that him working at the previous company
helped
because
massively.
he had that experience in the UK.
So now I work at a tech consultancy as a product analyst, and it's probably the best company I've ever worked for. It's freaking amazing. I mean, it has really nice people and nice culture, work-life balance. I can see myself working here for at least 3 to 5 years, if not more. So now I finally feel like, okay, I have settled down in the UK, which kind of makes life easier for us. We can think about future planning, family planning. I don't know. There's so many things that comes when you get
whereas
older.
before, especially because when he was in Manchester, obviously we were paying for the mortgage here, which I was living in, and then you were paying for Manchester.
Yeah, and funnily enough, the rent I was paying for one room is more than the mortgage we pay for the entire 2-bedroom flat here, because I was living in city centre.
Yeah.
So I was paying almost
a lot of money.
Yeah, like more than what I would like to pay.
And then obviously he would buy his groceries in Manchester, I'd be buying my groceries here, so then it's like we're both paying the same amount of money.
Yeah, but
in different cities.
Exactly.
So we weren't able to really
bills
save.
were double.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really enjoy life together. And then obviously I would take the trains and visit her, and that was another extra cost on top of everything else we had.
It was definitely a long process. It took quite a few months to get even just the first one. I also think maybe it was because you had to go down a step, even though you had experience and stuff and you'd been working for so long.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you didn't have experience here, you kind of had to go down a level.
Maybe, yeah.
If anything. which I don't think you did to begin with, because you were like, this is my level.
Yeah.
That should be where I'm inserting
Like
myself
obviously when
into.
you want a new job, you always want to take the next step
Yeah.
up, right? You want to progress, you want to get better salary, you want to get maybe better benefits, you just want to have better things that you had before. So maybe that was what it was.
Yeah, I think when you just move here, you have to, unfortunately, consider taking like a
slight
almost like a
pay cut.
demotion or something. Yeah, just so that you can get your foot in, and then once you prove yourself.
Yeah, but also I think it's because it was hard, because coming from Hong Kong, right, where the pay is definitely a bit higher than here.
Yeah.
And the taxes are lower.
Yeah.
So obviously you think you're making more money.
Yeah.
You do spend more money there because there's so much to do, so much to spend on nightlife and drinking and friends and parties and eating out and stuff and gadgets and everything that's there. But here it's more about...
It's much quieter life.
It's quieter lifestyle. It's more about home and building your life around it. So the pay is a bit less. But I think when you compare apples to apples, right? Like it's the pay is maybe it's less, but the quality of life is better. I used to get paid more in Hong Kong, but life is better now, and I can do more things with little money.
I think because in Hong Kong you couldn't really save. It was really difficult to save money.
It is very hard to save. You spend a lot on your rent. You spend a lot on transportation, food, just ample number of outings and whatnot. It's hard to just keep a tab on your money.
Yeah.
Have to be prepared for the weather. It's not like it rains every day. It just
bear in mind though that you've moved to Edinburgh, which is known for rain and being windy.
Yes, but still overall in the UK it does stay quite gloomy, and it is a cold country. It doesn't get very hot like other Asian places, right? So you have to prepare for the weather, definitely. Culturally and just like in terms of cultural shocks, I don't think it's anything much to say. Coming from Hong Kong, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm coming from a very modern city to another Western city, so I didn't see that much of a difference. If you're coming from a big city to a smaller town in the UK, I think you have to be ready for shops closing at 5 and not having the widest area of options and stuff for like food choices or restaurants and malls. It's mostly all about high streets here. Like, there's streets full of like shops and restaurants instead of big malls and big buildings.
Sometimes you have to go quite far to look for for a particular a particular store or shop.
Stop. As international and multicultural UK is, there is still a lot of racism here, and I have experienced myself. Not in Edinburgh per se. Maybe once.
Edinburgh's probably alright.
It's still alright, but if you go to other places in the UK, there is racism. Me being brown and from India doesn't help. People have said stuff like, "Oh, go back to Syria," which is like what, mate? I'm not even from Syria or anywhere nearby. I'm from India. Like, get the geography right, mate. And it's hard. It can make you feel not wanted here. So you gotta have a thick skin. You gotta know that you are not in your home country, and you will be treated badly sometimes if you come across shit people. But overall,
everywhere in the world there are people like that.
You will face racism in India if you're from north and you go to the south, or if south when you go to north, that happens. But I think overall, it's been a very welcoming country. People are friendly, especially in Scotland. People are lovely people there. They love to welcome you with open arms, very helpful. And I've not had any issues as such. Except... What are you going to say? I was just going to say about the accent.
I was about to say the same thing.
Oh, right, okay. So I was just going to say, if you're coming to Scotland, Edinburgh, or even worse, if you go elsewhere in like mainland Scotland, like up north to the western towns, Glasgow, the accent can be really hard to understand.
I was gonna say, even for me as someone who's British, there's a lot of terms and phrases and stuff that I do not know, and I didn't know until I came to Edinburgh and things like that. So, for example, in the UK, a very popular dish is fish and chips, and in England we call it fish and chips. But here in Edinburgh they call it fish supper. And for the longest time, when I go to a fish and chip shop, I'm like, where is fish and chips? Why do they not have fish and chips?
Yeah.
They also call fizzy drinks juice.
No way.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
What?
Yeah, so they call fizzy drinks juice.
Like Pepsi?
Yeah.
Is juice?
Yeah, but for me, juice is like fresh orange juice.
Yeah.
And then squash for me is like...
Yeah, like the concentrate.
Yeah, the concentrate which you dilute with water.
Yeah.
But for them, squash is also juice.
Huh?
Like the fresh juice.
That's...
Yeah.
Oh, it's mind-boggling. And if you are moving from India, like, don't be worried about like, oh, how I'm gonna live there because I'm moving to the UK, and then how I'm gonna find my regular foods. Like, they have Indian supermarkets here, Indian shops here, where you can find pretty much everything you want. You know, your garam masalas, your methi powders, and MDH, and biryani masala, and everything you need, you can find it here.
Even in our local Asda, although our Asda is a very big one.
It's a superstore.
It's a superstore.
Yeah.
It does have like all of the spices that
you can buy atta and rice and basmati rice and dal.
Gram flour we bought recently.
Maida, which is gram flour, which we have still haven't used.
Yeah, we still haven't used it.
But yeah, like everything you need, because UK has a significant Indian population, and
we have okra here as well.
Ladyfinger, for that you don't understand, because I don't know what okra is until
I thought okra was an Indian word.
No.
Oh.
Okra is not an Indian word. We call it ladyfinger. So the word eggplant, that's in the US, you guys call it aubergine.
Yeah.
We in India we call it brinjal.
Oh. Yeah. So that's pretty much the end of this video.
You guys want us to make a detailed video about like the actual job hunting process in the UK, or the differences between Hong Kong, like working in Hong Kong versus working in the UK, or just comparing lives, because we lived in Hong Kong for 4 years together, 9 years for me, and then now we're in the UK. So if you guys want something like that, or a comparison of sorts or whatever, let us know, and we will try to make that for you guys, because that might take a bit more effort, because we'll have to do a bit more research, figure out what all we need to put in the video. And yeah, if you guys haven't checked out our previous videos, I'm gonna link it up on somewhere up here, so you guys can watch that as well. And I'll also put some videos down in the description, the previous couple of videos, so that you guys can watch that if you have not watched already.
Hopefully आपको ये video अच्छा लगा.
Yeah, I'm teaching her a bit of Hindi as well, so that she can learn a bit more Hindi and actually speak to you guys, which is always a good thing. And she is learning, as you see, so I'll keep trying.
If you like this video, please don't forget to like the video, share and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell.
And bye, until the next video.